how the sodium chloride are produced in the sea. Is that because of the sunshine to the water?
Explain what you're asking.
He just want to know how the sodium chloride is produced in the sea.
What is a sodium chloride? Rick, would you like to bring it up?
Sure.
Food salt.
Pardon?
The salt, food salt.
Yes, I know,
Sodium.
I know, I know.
Um,
You see, if you look at your gas boxes, there we are. What is it? What do we symbolize it by? When you look at this material, in the sea, we do not have combination of the elements. We have the combination of fields of the element, that the interaction of the fields with the environment creates a condition of the creation of the matter state of the element, sodium or chloride. If you look at it, we all know, we've all been there, and if we look at something very fundamental, where we have in the what we call work of the systems, where we have direct interaction of the field of the earth, or we call environment, and I'm going to go somewhere with this. It's a beautiful question, absolutely beautiful, because this might answer a lot of things to you. You ask, how is it produced? When you have the oceans, and with the microscopic nanomaterials which are in the ocean, the gold, the silver, the copper, the whatever could be, create a field in the water with the interaction of the fields above, creates what we call the salt. The field strength of the salt, that with presence of the inertia of the water and the environment gives you that taste of salt. That's why the oceans are salt. Because these a mixture of elements in the ocean have created that condition to create the saltness. You can go from one ocean to another, taste is still different, even salty. But now we come to something else. We have earth, and we have a running river inside. Mono environment, from where it comes, we dig a well and tap into it, and it's sweet. There's not much salt in it. So what it means, and this repeats everywhere around the world, that's why we go to the springs. Wherever you go, you find sweet water. You drink from the springs. Very few springs are salty if they come from a source in the salt base somewhere. What does this mean? It means the amino acid which created the water, which itself is amino acid base controlled by it, does not attract the field strength of what is the sodium and chloride as the earth layers have become a filter to it. And then, do you remember when we went to Inner Mongolia? And the Chinese government wants to get the salty land changed. It's a lot of calc and salt on the land. Are you there?
Yes, yes.
Do you remember that what they said, 30, 40 centimeters below the surface, the water is sweet, but the land is salty?
Yeah.
It's the same process. The land absorbs that salt, which in the sea becomes part of the water. You need to change the environment above the land, that this layer of land does not absorb salt and allows the salt to go as the water does not carry, it goes to a lower level. That's why we created our process that we said with the Chinese, what they call it, authorities in the Mongolia. This filter of land, this layer of land in that 30 centimeter does separation of the salt which comes from the atmosphere. So it's the combination of the metals in the land which dictates the absorption and creation of the salt. Which salt? You understand? It's a magnetic field strength absorption. Then, through to inertia, that converts to grain of salt if you dry. That's why you have a sea salt, because you have converted the gas into a matter state through the inertia of the water and the environment. You and I have been there, we've seen this in the Mongolia. So it's the filtering, it's the way the color of skin creates different salts inside. We have a different skin color, we have different behavior because we have different muscle tissues. You're Chinese, one is European, because your salt salinity is connected by what is absorbed from the environment and converted in amino acids. The sea does not add salt into. The sea creates its own salt according to the interaction of the materials which are available in it. And that creates a gravitational field of the salt in interaction with what is underneath of the ocean and what is within the ocean, that creates the salinity of water. In some part of the oceans, we get the magnesium salt more than the others. We get different fishes. We get different understanding and creation. You can do the same in your enhancement units. You can do the same in your CO2 boxes. You create the field of the salt and you can produce salt of potassium, sodium, calcium, anything you like. And if you create a condition of the magnetic field of the chlor, you get the same. Then you create salt. You do this if many of you looked at the wires sometimes above your gas production, you see these salts. They stick to your wire. We collect it in the lab, in the factory. The field in the box is not matching, but the atmospheric condition around the wires creates that absorption of the salt, extraction of salt from the environment. You put 10 grams of salt in your box, but you find half a kilo of salt on your wires. Because you created a magnetic field environment. Now your salt in the box is not in the matter state anymore. The salt you added into the box, due to the nanomaterial you put in, now is in a different environment, is against, is a magnetic field of the salt. And this magnetic field, the way you absorb the CO2 and amino acid, now absorbs the salt in the environment. But the situation and condition of the amino acid on the surface doesn't allow it. So it's hanging above somewhere, and your black hole, what I call nanomaterials, is a good place for it to get. And you collect salt there instead of bringing it into the water. Because you created the field, but the field become effective inertia at the point of your wires hang. Just have a look at your systems in when you're producing gases. After a while, you see a lot of salt everywhere. So I put 10 grams of salt in there, I'm collecting half a kilo. So where did it come from?
To make the water without any salt, is that can also create the sodium magnetic field.
What do you mean?
I mean, if the water doesn't have the any salt inside it, if the sunshine just we have the sunshine also, but is that can also create the sodium magnetic and the gravitative field.
Yes, because sunshine is another dimension of field transfer. And if some of the rays of the sun are the same as the rays you have, of course it does. It's added, but it's as the strength of the salt. It's very simple. You can bring that change in.
What do we do with the salts created by the cup of man? The cups are almost closed off on the top because of the salt.
Have you created salt of the soul? That's the question. And those salts have to be very perfectly handled. You never touch these kind of salts with a bare hand. Use gloves. Hold them in an airtight condition. And keep them in environment that can bring the condition of what do you call no interaction with matter state. Then in the future, we teach you how to use them. When you make if you keep these gases, this salt, when you make your next cup of man or cup of life, you use these salts, not the salts you take from the shops.